Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abigail, your host. Well, I have come to the conclusion that Canada should dump the F-35 fighter. Never thought I would come to this conclusion, but it seems like these days lots of things that I never thought would happen are happening. I'm going to explain. But first, can I ask you to subscribe to this channel? I've always felt if you want someone to do something, instead of hinting, going around, you should just directly say, this is what I would like you to do if you possibly could. So if you could, please subscribe to this channel. All right, now let's get back to the F-35. The F-35, among all of the planes that are currently available to Western nations right now, that includes the Eurofighter, that includes the Rafale, and that includes the Gripen. The F-35 is probably technically the best plane that's available. The technology is superior. It has stealth capabilities and so on. Also, the helmet is amazing. You can actually look through the floor of the airplane and it shows with cameras on the bottom what you would see. Fantastic technology. Amazing. Also, Canada has been part of the development of it, and we have had certain contracts for our aerospace industry producing parts for the F-35. And if we were to purchase another plane, that might throw those contracts into doubt. But here's the thing. If we were to purchase the F-35, the Americans, under Donald Trump, could control how we use them, how we choose to use them. Now, some people have talked about there being a kill switch in the F-35 so that the Americans can just turn it off and then you can't use it. I don't think there is a actual kill switch per se. That would be a huge security risk where somebody who hacked the U.S. Air Force could simply turn off all the F-35 fighters. I can't see anyone putting that into their airplane. Also, it would be a huge risk for Lockheed Martin. There we go. It'd be a huge risk for Lockheed Martin if it came out that there was a kill switch. However, there are controls that the Americans can use to make it more difficult to use the F-35. So, for instance, there is an automated system whereby if a part breaks on the airplane, it phones home and says, we need this, and automatically a part is dispatched to the airbase where it's needed. Fantastic, useful feature. Airlines have this, and now the F-35 has it as well. But that's controlled by the Americans. Also controlled by the Americans is the operational data. And the operational data is, for instance, information on enemy radar systems. As the Americans gather this information, it is uploaded into the F-35, into the operational data storage, and those capabilities are updated regularly. That is another huge advantage because the Americans do data collection better than anyone else in the world. The British RAF does have a couple of rivet joint aircraft of their own, but the Americans excel at this. And the Americans can simply turn that off. And another thing is software updates. Without agreement from the Americans, if they decide that they don't like how you're using the F-35s, they can simply refuse to provide software upgrades. Now, you say to yourself, okay, but I mean, spare parts, for instance. If we were to purchase a European fighter, couldn't the Europeans do the same thing? And the answer is yes, but they wouldn't, because the Europeans are going to honor contracts. And that's something that Donald Trump is not very good at. So, for instance, the USMCA agreement, which he himself hailed as the best agreement ever, he has decided to not fulfill terms of that contract. And so, national security, we're going to do something different. Well, you know what? The Europeans will uphold the terms of any contract with them, whereas the Americans won't. And so when we look at all the different types of airplanes that we could purchase in Canada, the F-35 although technically it's a very fine aircraft, although there are economic benefits to having it. And I think, too, it's reasonably priced as these things go. But the Americans have become, under Donald Trump, unreliable partners. And that's a huge risk. So if Canada, for instance, wanted to use our aircraft for supporting NATO instead of supporting NORAD, the Americans could just say, well, if you support NATO, if you send your aircraft over to fight with NATO, we're just going to turn off the operational data. We're going to turn off the software upgrades. We're going to not allow you to get spare parts. It's just too much of a risk. So what could we purchase? Well, the Eurofighter is one. It has 2 engines, as does the Rafale. And over Canada's north, I still kind of think that a 2-engine plane is a good idea. The Rafale is not does not have the ability to exchange data with American aircraft. But you know what? Donald Trump is very clear. Like, you're fighting on your own. You're on your own, buddy. So, like, why do we need aircraft that can communicate with American aircraft? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Also is the Gripen from Saab, and it's a 1-engine plane. So I feel like maybe it's not the best idea, but it does have interesting capabilities of flying from unprepared airstrips. In other words, landing on highways. What a great feature. And certainly it was designed by a northern nation, so they understand the whole cold weather thing. I don't know which plane is the best. I just know that under Donald Trump, the Americans have become an unreliable supplier of weapon systems. And so that's what I think. What do you think? I'd love to read your comments. If you agree with me, disagree with me. When people disagree with me, I appreciate them taking the time to disagree with me, and those disagreements sometimes help me to sharpen my thinking a little bit. So what do you think? Should Canada not purchase the F-35 and go ahead with purchasing a European plane? Or do you trust Donald Trump? Do you trust the Americans? Do you think that a signed agreement is something that they will hold to? Let me know in the comments, please. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life.